This is the Mariners POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Seattle Mariners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Coming at you live from the Beach House this weekend. This is Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford with the Locked On Mariners POSTCAST here. Sorry if my video is a little grainy. I don't have my full setup with me. Just hanging out on the 4th of July here in Camano Island. It's a beautiful evening, and we get a 1-0 victory out of it. The offense wasn't very beautiful, but the pitching was. That Luis Castillo start was just absolutely just, I don't even know the word for it. That was probably his best start of the season, I think, and the best start I've seen from him in a long time. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the offense, the ineptitude. Is it time to move Julio down in the order? I think so, personally. And we're going to give you our unsung hero. Do we even go with the Ben Williamson today? Who knows? Chris Crawford does it every single time. He's the sung hero today, in my opinion. But Chris Crawford, what are your first thoughts about this Mariner victory?
Thank goodness they didn't waste Castillo, right? Like, thank goodness this wasn't one of those games where you get 7 innings of shutout baseball from one of the most underrated pitchers, I think, in baseball at this point, in Luis Castillo. He was just so good. The offense was not good, but you get that one timely hit. And a win's a win. A win's a win. You now have a chance to have a successful road or homestand, because a loss tomorrow, 4-3, wouldn't be good enough for me. 4-3 against the way these two teams are playing right now. And I know that Pirates had won like 6 straight before they came into this one, but they're still the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? Until the Pittsburgh Pirates are not the Pittsburgh Pirates, they are still the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Hey, there's a hot take right there.
Yeah, there you go. That some horrible umpiring today. Some horrible. Oh, wow.
I went a little bright. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the best lighting here.
That's all right.
Go that.
We're just playing with stuff, we are a visual medium, but I appreciate that you're trying to get us at our very best. Just solid to see a win. Like, it wasn't the prettiest win, especially offensively, but when you pitch that well, thank goodness you come away with a W.
Yeah, let's start with the start. Let's get right into it. What was it about Castillo? Castillo's the story of the night, man. Like, he was just so dang good tonight. I think they said 16 swing and misses today, which is great to see from him. Not that he's necessarily struggled with that, but he doesn't have the same swing and miss stuff as when the Mariners first traded for him. So what is it about, like, he's just a different pitcher at home, man. I don't know what it is.
Right.
I understand T-Mobile Park is the most pitcher-friendly park. Actually, not this year if you look at StatCast. But overall, I think most people would agree with you that T-Mobile Park is the most pitcher-friendly park in the majors. Is it anything more than that? Is it just that he happens to have a home ballpark that's T-Mobile Park? Or is it something more to do with what he does on home starts versus on the road? Because he is a completely different pitcher at home versus on the road.
So it's interesting because I was really concerned with Castillo after the first 2 batters because he missed his spot by quite a bit. And then Andrew McCutchen hits that baseball into the gap. And I thought that was either gone, or if Julio doesn't make that catch, it's a triple, right? Because it's going to bounce out that wall. And while McCutchen doesn't run like he used to, he's certainly fast enough to get into third base there. That was such a massive play. But after that, the fastball command was just so good. Like, if you take a look at Castillo by Savant, the secondary stuff is all pretty middling. He's in the 86th percentile in run value with his fastball. So when he commands that pitch, no, it doesn't have elite velocity. And honestly, it doesn't have elite movement to it either. But it's good enough at both. And when he commands that pitch, he is one of the most difficult hitters to square up. But the big thing here was the swing and miss. Like, we just haven't seen that outside of that one start where he had like the 90.3 swinging rate on his slider. We just haven't seen that kind of swing and miss from Castillo in a while. And that doesn't make him a bad pitcher. It just means that, you're taking a little bit more of a chance. And if you're off in your command, you have a chance to get hit a little bit. Luis Castillo has been a very solid pitcher on the road as well. but his stuff plays so perfectly. And you have to give Jerry Dipoto a ton of credit for this, recognizing that Luis Castillo was a perfect pitcher for this ballpark. Lots of pitchers are good pitchers for this ballpark, to be clear. But Luis Castillo in particular, because it's so difficult to square him up and because this ballpark suppresses power so well, it's just a match made in heaven. And he pitched as well as I think I've seen him pitch as a Seattle Mariner tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a great underrated point about Castillo is his types of pitches and the way he throws, especially since he's come here. Because I think he came here with a little more ground ball in him. He's been mostly a fly ball pitcher since he's come to the Mariners. They've made him more of a four-seam slider guy instead of the sinker changeup that he kind of was when he first got traded. So that plays because, even if you do square him up, you have to really get it for it to go out of the park here. We've seen that a couple times with him, and he'll get hit hard. There was I think it was the fourth inning or fifth inning when Randy made the catch in left field. Again, his defense has gotten a lot better. That's great. And your run prevention in the infield's getting pretty dang good as well with Ben Williamson rocking the hot corner, and Cole Young made a couple good plays today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, defense deserves a ton of credit today, too. Like I said, that catch from Julio was absolutely fantastic. Expected batting average on that ball, by the way, was .830. So that is a heck of a play to run down. But you got some nice plays from Ben Williamson. You got some nice plays from Cole Young, like you said. And the Randy Arozarena, gosh, his defense has just improved so much this year. And I do think Julio deserves a lot of credit for that. We talked about it because all Randy Arozarena has to do is play the line, right? He's just playing the line, but he's doing a very nice job of it. We'll talk about his offensive effort today in a little bit. But it was a spectacular game from the pitching, but it was also a spectacular job by the run prevention behind that pitching as well.
Yep, totally agree. You go Munoz to, was it Bizardo? Or no, sorry,
it was Brash and then Brash. Castillo, then Brash. And then,
that's right. I totally forgot it.
Yeah. Well, we're so used to seeing 6 from these guys so often. But Matt Brash was really good. He does issue the walk, and it's the one concern that I always have with Matt Brash is whether or not he's going to throw enough strikes. But that's the best I've seen Andres Munoz look in a long time. Probably since that 8th inning against Minnesota, where they did the reverse, and I loved seeing that reverse. But that was filthy stuff from Andres Munoz, and a reminder that anybody who thinks that this guy isn't deserving of being the closer is just ignorant, because this dude's stuff is special. He commands it more than well enough. And sure, he took advantage of a Pittsburgh lineup that's just flat out not very good. Yeah. But Andres Munoz was getting anybody out today. Anybody was going to get out with that fastball and that slider. He was special. It was a special performance and a reminder that he better be an all-star. Andres Munoz had better be an all-star, and I really hope he actually gets used in the game this time too.
Well, it's funny because they I don't know if you were listening to the broadcast, but Aaron Goldsmith said, here comes the all-star closer, Andres Munoz. So I don't know if they know something that we don't, but or if they were just referring to him being an all-star last year or 2 years ago, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, must have been because they definitely haven't announced that yet. They I've seen more stuff about who's going to the celebrity softball game than I have about who's playing in the actual game. But we should know more of that stuff this weekend. And there's a few candidates who should be on that roster, and one of those for sure is Andres Munoz. Excuse me.
Yeah, and you mentioned the walk from Brash. That's another thing about Castillo's start that I think gets underrated is he didn't have any walks today.
Pounded the strike zone.
That is so huge for him, especially if you're not going to be the 10-plus strikeout guy. Right. And we talked about this with Emerson Hancock before, too. If you're going to be pitched a contact guy, then you can't issue walks. Like, you have to only be getting guys on base via the hit. And that's what he's done. And that's why I think he's been so consistent this year. He's never going to just blow guys away and run right through a lineup. Today's about as close as I think you're going to get from that happening. But he's going to give you 6 and maybe 7 with 6 or 7 Ks, at most 3 runs, sometimes 2, sometimes 1. And then if you're really dominant, then you go 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits, no walks, and 7 or 8 Ks for a season high. And that's just a great line from Luis Castillo.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And if they get that performance from him, this team's going to be okay. It's not like Luis Castillo's been bad by any stretch of the
No.
We take ERA a little too seriously sometimes, but a 3.31 ERA is pretty darn good. But getting this version of Luis Castillo, which is closer to the 2022 version of Luis Castillo, be a big benefit.
Well, and it's been so huge to a line or a pitching staff that has so many injuries right now. I know I keep getting into it, but he's been the story of this game. So we're gonna talk the most about it today.
Sure.
And like when you absolutely needed him to go 7 with however many guys, the bullpen's been really overworked recently as well. This is just as clutch of a 7-inning just breeze as you could possibly get. Him and Wu just dominating the last 2 nights really kind of has shown, all right, these 2 guys are your guys right now. These 2 guys are the most consistent pitchers on the Mariners right now.
Yep. I totally agree. There's no denying that when Luis Castillo is on the mound, I feel really confident that I'm going to get, especially at home, but especially anytime he's on the mound, that I'm going to get 6 innings of quality baseball. Today was him at his peak, and that's not an insult. There is no insult in 7 innings of 2-hit baseball and 8 strikeouts being your absolute peak. Fantastic effort.
All right, let's talk. Let's give some love to our sponsor for today, and then we're going to talk about the offense because this game was not without warts. All right, so let's get into that a little bit. Comment section, be ready for it. All right, we're going to have a big chat about the lineup order and just overall what we're seeing from the offense right now. Comment, do you think it's time to move Julio down in the order? I should have phrased that a little bit better in our background today. Not move him down to AAA. No, that's not what I'm saying. Move him down in the order. Do you think it's time to move Julio down in the order just to get a different look possibly and move up guys that are kind of hitting it a little bit better right now? But first, let's talk about game time. Have you ever decided the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can now splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible.
Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Guys, we're so online and we buy things online so often. And it's nice to know that anytime we're making a purchase with Game Time, we don't have to worry that we're going to get the bad word happen to us. We're not going to have anything go wrong. By the way, 10% off if you're one of those people who lives in that area. FIFA World Club Championship matchups. That's going to be a fun game or fun couple of games. If you're in that area and happen to be watching, it's a great deal on Game Time right now.
Yep. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, just make sure to create an account and then redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, let's talk about the offense. The pitching was the definite positive of the day, but when you only win the game 1-0, you don't do enough offensively in general to kind of make yourself feel better about things moving forward. I'm just going to ask a general thought to you, Chris Crawford. What was the biggest kind of issue today offensively, and maybe like leaning into long-term, what do you think needs to be fixed with this group of players without thinking about adding more players to this lineup? Yeah. With this group of players, what is it about the offense that is not clicking right now?
Well, just based on tonight, I think the biggest issue was that they were just a little bit too passive at the plate. Like getting not 5 walks is fine. Of course, 3 of those coming from Big Dumper. And it was nice to see Julio draw a walk. It was Crawford draws walks all the time. So it's not like that's anything special. But I thought that they were maybe a little too passive at the plate. Now, I'll give credit to Mike Burrows, a guy. The one thing Pittsburgh does do well is they do develop arms pretty well. Like they are up there in pitcher ERA, and in the good way of up there. Their rank among ERA is up there. You're going to see a pretty good one tomorrow, by the way. Just maybe a little too passive, a little bit too much willing to hit with 2 strikes today. Overall, I think the offense has over the past week looked okay. The only issue I have is like you have a really good offensive day yesterday where you score 6 runs, and then you follow it up with a clunker. Like I'll give credit to Mike Burrows. It's still not a guy you shouldn't score against at all. Like you should not be shut out by Mark Burrows. You shouldn't get only 1 run against anybody. I don't care who's pitching. Nobody has an ERA of 1. I'm telling you right now, they're not going to find that. Just a little too passive today. Too many times where I was seeing pitches taken over the zone or just a little off the plate that you can still drive, right? People seem to think that the only way you can make good contact on a baseball is if you swing at something that's right down the middle of the plate. Yeah. No, something right off the plate gives you an opportunity to hit the ball hard to the opposite field. It gives you a chance to move a runner over. It gives you a chance to do a whole bunch of things. And I'm not asking for productive outs, but I'm asking for not so many outs. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes. I'm just really annoyed by how little I can trust this offense from game to game. And today was a pretty good example of that. Some credit to Burrows, but I just think they were a little too passive at the plate today.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think everyone was, and we've talked about this with Julio specifically, which we'll get into later, but I think in general, everyone was so like, oh my God, they're striking out way too much. They looked at the numbers. Oh, the team has struck out the most times out of any team ever in the history of MLB. That's a little out of context because every team is striking out at a historic rate nowadays. So it is what it is. Yes, you are still the highest. This is in 2023, of course, and then in 2024 as well. But yes, you are still the highest, but that's just kind of where the game has gone now. So saying that the strikeouts, and sometimes they can become an issue, but having an all-encompassing, that's what's going to fix our team if we just get rid of strikeouts. We've seen that isn't an all-in-one fix. No. And it takes away a lot of what makes players good. And I think Julio is a prime example of that. So let's get into it. He has a couple bad at-bats. He has the good walk in the first inning to get on base. That was something I was positive with. He looked way more patient, didn't want to just attack everything that was coming to him. It seems like I talked about this when I was on my own on, what was it, Thursday, before you came back. It seems like he's either like incredibly, I'm going to hit anything that's coming to me, or like I'm just trying to walk. There's no in between with him right now. And I don't know if that's just an approach thing. I don't know if it's specific by pitcher that he's going against. What is it with him that you're seeing? Because everyone says, oh, his hot streak's coming. It just always happens. I don't see it right now. I don't see the signs of it coming imminently. But maybe you're seeing something I'm not. So what do you think about 44 so far?
I saw the signs coming during that road trip for sure. Yeah. Like against Chicago, there were a bunch of deep contact. He clobbers that home run in Minnesota. But since that, just hasn't been very good. And what's happening with Julio a little bit here is just the dinks and dunks aren't dinking and dunking right now. Yeah. So you're seeing the hits with the average. Thank goodness he makes that catch tonight. And I think it's worth pointing out that Julio helped you tonight more than he hurt you, even with the bases loaded strikeout, which, ton of RPM on that pitch. It's a difficult pitch to hit up in the zone, but it's still something you would like to see Julio Rodriguez not be late on 94 miles an hour. That's just not with his bat speed, and it still ranks way up there. He should not be late on that pitch. Like you can't be. You cannot be. It's just an issue of finding that consistency from him. And right now, unfortunately, the only thing consistent for Julio Rodriguez is just not getting those hits to fall in. And, the power, forget the power right now. You got to just start getting on base at a more healthy clip. I did like the walk. It was great to see him not swing at that 3-1 pitch. That's a pitch that he swings at quite a bit. It was nice to see that walk. And it was great to see his stolen base as well. You give him a chance. He's got to be better. He's got to be better. And just to get into it right now, do you move him down? I guess, but for what? Like, okay.
I'm not even saying like 8. I'm not even saying like 8 or 9 hitter. I'm saying
no, like 5 or 6, right? Yeah, that's the thing. I guess you can do that, but do you really want these other guys hitting that much more than Julio Rodriguez? The one guy I want hitting more than Julio Rodriguez right now is Randy Arozarena, right?
Yeah, and he's had a bad night tonight as well.
He had a horrible night, but I will say this. One of the worst strike 3 calls I've ever seen in my entire life on the second called strike. And if you I'm just telling you this right now. I try not to be a controversial person, and I need to be liked. If you don't at least want a challenge system, stay out of my life, because you are ignorant and don't operate heavy machinery. I know I've made that joke once before with somebody else here. What are we doing? What are we doing to allow stuff like this? And that was a huge play in that game, to not allow that inning to keep going on.
Yeah, it was.
But long story short, to answer that question, yeah, I'd probably move Julio down to 5th. I would probably put Randy Arozarena in the 2 spot. And by the way, I'm sorry for everybody hearing the fireworks in the background. You're going to hear some dog barking.
So you're good.
Okay, that's great. I do a good job, I guess, with the mute settings in the background, I suppose. But super distracting. What was I talking about?
Moving Julio down.
Julio 5th. Yeah. Hit Julio 5th.
Here's
what I would do.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do. I would have my lineup right now probably be JP 1, Randy 2, Cal 3, Julio 4, maybe, something along those lines. Just
try it.
I would like having Julio at leading off an inning to get on base and to, steal, that would be something that would be nice to see. But I don't want Luke Raley taking at bats over Julio Rodriguez. I don't want Dom Canzone taking at bats over Julio Rodriguez. I don't want Ben Williamson taking at bats over my sweet Julio or my sweet Ben Williamson too. Like, I don't want that to happen. However, maybe that's necessary right now until he gets things going and until he starts driving the baseball on a more consistent basis. Maybe he's got to hit closer to the middle of the lineup to the top of it.
Yeah, and at this point, like, I'm all for kind of letting things play out with him. But if you're playing almost any other baseball game, that at bat will not allow you to win the game. If you're playing against almost any other team that scores any runs, that at bat, like, it's hurting your team not having Andy in that situation, not having someone you feel more confident, at least right now, in that big high leverage spot. So at least, like, play the hot hand. Now, I know Dan Wilson, we talked about this with other players as well, with Jorge Polanco earlier, with Donovan Solano, in terms of, like, he rides guys out. He does not make rash reactions with lineups, with rosters. I guess it's not his call on the roster and calling up and sending down and stuff, but he keeps playing guys even when they're playing cold, and he plays them in the same spot. And there is something to consistency, but I just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel right now with Julio.
No, it's you can't just say, hey, he's just going to be better because he's going to be better, right? Like, you have to have something. And by the way, yes, I did have to pick up this dog because she is vibrating right now. Thanks a lot for your freaking twinkly lights. Such a stupid thing. Yeah, you can't just say, Julio will be better because he'll be better. No, there's nothing that he's shown lately that says he's automatically going to figure this out. Track record says he's going to figure this out because he's been a much better hitter in the second half of seasons. But right now, Julio Rodriguez offensively is simply an average player. He's an average offensive player, and it's wasting a little bit Big Jumper's ability, right? Because Randy Arozarena hitting second behind him right now with how hot he is and how much he draws walks. That's probably a better value than Julio Rodriguez, right? In fact, not probably. He's just getting on at a better clip.
Yeah.
It sucks. I love him. I have no doubt. And again, can people stop talking about his contract like he's overpaid, like you owe John Stanton money, or that you don't understand the only way he gets the massive, massive money if he's better? Like, literally, the only way that contract kicks in is if he is a better player. It only kicks in if he is worth it. It's not even close. It's not even close. But I want more. I want more from Julio. I'm confident it's going to happen based on track record. I'm not confident it's happening anytime soon based on what I've seen over the last week.
Yeah, and especially, like, we see kind of how teams are treating Cal now. Today is a great example. They're just not going to pitch to him. If no one else can kind of prove that they can get the job done, your dog's name is Molly, right?
No, this is Minnie. I also have Molly, and she is currently begging for the sweet release of death. If I'm just being completely honest with you, like, she's 14 years old and she hates this. She hates this.
I'm sorry, that's not funny, but it is. That's
very funny. It's very funny because there's nothing we can do about it. Yesterday, by the way, for those curious, I did the smart thing and yesterday, and I just took him for a drive. I took him for a drive. We drove around. We waited for all that stuff to stop, and it was much better. We might have to go for another drive tonight, huh? Yeah.
Well, hopefully everyone's 4th of July was safe. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the series-winning 1-0 victory against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Really quick before we get out of here, and we preview tomorrow's matchup against yes, Mini batting second. I'm down for that, to be honest. Livy Dunn's girlfriend goes on the mound tomorrow against the Seattle Mariners. But who's your unsung hero from tonight, Chris Crawford?
I heard nothing. I heard bang, 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 bang. Can you repeat what you just said? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're gonna preview Mariners against Livy Dunn's.
The LDB. By the way, I created LDB. Anyone who says otherwise is lying. I came up with LDB. Call me. The unsung hero. I was tempted to go with Julio because of that catch he made. Because that is a little unsung. This game's probably still going if that ball isn't caught, because it's probably 1-1, and we're talking about in the 14th inning that the Mariners lose because somebody pitches. Just because I love doing it, we'll go with Ben Williamson. What a massive hit that was! I was
waiting for that.
What a massive hit that was to come up there, and with 2 outs too. With 2 outs, I honestly thought he was going to get a triple out of that. It was pretty well played by the outfielder. But it's been great to see hard contact from Ben Williamson. I want to see it more in the air, no question about it. But it's not that he doesn't recognize pitches. And it's not that he can't get the bat to the barrel, right? It's the fact that he is bat
to the barrel?
The barrel. He can't get the bat to the ball. There you go. He can definitely not get the barrel. That's fair for sure. I'm distracted. I've got a vibrating dog and just World War III going on next to me. Ben Williamson's a good player. Ben Williamson is a good player who makes more sense in an everyday lineup for a different team. If I'm just being honest with you, it shouldn't stop you from going to get Eugenio Suarez. It shouldn't stop you from going to get somebody to come play third base for this team. But there is a long-term future for Ben Williamson in this league, and it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch him contribute, because it seems like the players really like him too. It seems like he fits in really well in the clubhouse. There's kind of a gee golly shucks to him a little bit, which, being from Virginia, I understand there is something to that. And you know what? A bunch of people have brought up that Ben Williamson, I've seen in the comments a few days. I hope the Mariners don't trade Ben Williamson too. I would struggle giving up Ben Williamson in the long term unless you're getting something that's going to help you next year as well. I would not move Ben Williamson for Ryan O'Hearn. I would not move Ben Williams. Ben Williams for an Eugenio Suarez becomes a little bit interesting to me, but I would really like to keep rooting for Ben Williamson. That's the way I'll put it.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I agree with the take that it shouldn't stop you from trading for a third baseman for this year, but I wouldn't feel great about moving him for one of those third basemen. And I was going to go with Munoz, but he was pretty sung. He was the guy that got the last out. Closers are pretty sung heroes more than anything else. So I'm going to go with Jorge Polanco as Nelson points out here. He gets the double ahead of Ben Williamson, and then gets moved over to third base. He's on his 999th hit.
It would have been cool to see that 1,000th on his birthday.
I was waiting. Cool. I was waiting for that 1,000th hit. But he honestly, similar to Randy as of late, the fact that those two guys are trending more up than down, I should say, with the bat at least, are big developments for this offense. If we can get some sort of consistency with those two, just be 750 OPS guys for the rest of the year, and then go get one more bat, and then hopefully Julio figures it out, and we're talking about an above-average offense at that point. So, I'm going to go with Polanco. All right, what's your preview for tomorrow? We got Livy Dunn's boyfriend on the mound. How good is he? What makes him so good? I know we're talking about today's game, but we just got to quickly preview tomorrow's game.
Yeah, he is a special arm, and he is someone who, the Mariners have done well against some really good pitchers this year, but the way they've kind of swung the bat inconsistently, to be nice, the last few years, George Kirby's going to have to be at his best. Kirby's going to have to be at his absolute best, but appreciate it. Go to the game. Go watch Paul Skenes. Say you got a chance to see a guy who has, it's very early in his career, but a real chance to be like a special
He's the best pitcher in the league,
pitcher.
right?
Yeah. Go take advantage of that. Go watch a baseball game on a nice day and watch Paul Skenes do well, and then come watch Locked On afterwards. But
use us.
Really good. He's really good.
Yeah, and like underrated is how you got the win today. So you already won the series.
Yeah,
you're kind of playing house money going into the Paul Skenes start.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Like I said, it's still going to be disappointing if they go 4-3 in my humble estimation. But because you get this win and because you won the game before that, obvious point is obvious. But now you have that chance for the 5-2s, and you need those 5-2s because holy crap, is this going to be a difficult road trip coming up, even with the Yankees kind of essing the B a little bit to end these things.
Yeah, not to mention the Dodgers can't do the Mariners any flipping favors against the Astros. Guys, you built a super team. Beat a team that has no stars playing for it right now. Please.
Oh, that 18-1 was ugly. I know I'm not supposed to talk about fantasy baseball real quick. Did you know that there was a save in that game?
Which game? Oh, the 18-1 game?
18-1 game, there was a save. Because the guy went the final 3 innings and you get a save. What a stupid stat. What an unbelievably stupid stat.
If we're talking fantasy baseball, I'm going to say that because they switched up the rotation, I didn't have Brian Wu going on Friday.
Bummer.
And I might lose my matchup because of it. Anyways, any last words before we get out of here?
This felt train wreck adjacent because of the fireworks that were going on. This thing is now making me sweat like words I'm not allowed to say on the podcast. And stay tuned tomorrow. Have fun.